See how this is about to go. Hello, hello, hello. I believe that everything is working, and we do have a lot to discuss and go through. Go through. So we're here for AHS Plays UFC 5 event number 13. This is a little bit of a special event, as I've already noted that each of the fighters in this event have only competed in this series once. And all 10 of them have something in common, and that is that they have all lost in this series in their one fight that they have competed in. So it's a bit of a shot of redemption, a shining light on these competitors. We got a series of we got a trio of rematches and a pair of dream matchups per se. One fight probably should have happened. One, if it did happen, would have been insane. Robert Whitaker lost to GSP in our series, our first event, second event. That's going to bother me now. This is how long the series we're going on. I keep forgetting. It's either event 1 or 2. Bisping lost to Kamaru Usman. Alistair Overeem lost to Fedor Emelianenko. Junior Dos Santos lost to Tom Aspinall. Derek Lewis and Kimbo Slice both lost to Mike Tyson. Israel Adesanya lost to Alex Pereira. Sean Strickland lost to Dracus Duplessis. Nate Diaz lost to Dustin Poirier. That was on event 1. And Jorge Masvidal lost to Nick Diaz. So we're going to travel to the MGM Grand and to take place in this event and go ahead and start event number 13. And I've already told y'all that event 14 and 15 is going to be a 2-part season finale as we take a break from the series to finish our Brooklyn and focus on our Brooklyn Nets series on NBA 2K25. Speaking of the NBA, the playoffs are literally starting this week, and I will admit to y'all, there's definitely some worry for your boy because the Memphis Grizzlies are involved in the plan, and I'm so much worried, and I did this in 2023. But I know that I am biased. So for that being said, that is why I'm not filming a straight-up, shoot-up playoff predictions and preview. But I will be talking about some of the matchups and scenarios in this video. So it's a bit of a 2-in-1, I guess you could say. And we haven't done shooting the breeze in a hot minute. What was the last? The last edition was a rare. I'm not going to say a rare one, but it was like such a historic event that I felt the need to talk about it, and that was for John Cena's heel turn at the Elimination Chamber. A great event in hindsight. So, Shooting the Breeze should be returning next week, and that is mainly because we have the playoffs and WrestleMania taking place. So, the plan right now is a loaded-ass week on the channel because we have Monday. I've already forgotten what I was going to do Monday. Monday, I'm planning on doing a Brooklyn Nets video. Might happen, might not. I don't know. Tuesday should be Shooting the Breeze, the fallout from WrestleMania and the start of the NBA playoffs, which have been traditions for the past 2 years. And it just sucks that I had to do both in one video. I wish that this was more spaced out, but it makes for a more loaded experience for y'all. I want to keep complaining about it. I kind of wish this shit was spaced out because I have a lot to do this weekend anyway. A lot of people have a lot of things to do this weekend because it's also a holiday weekend and the playoffs and WrestleMania. And I've already told y'all I think that WrestleMania should have done the smart thing and taken place this past week when nothing. I can't even, you know what? I'll give them credit. The Masters was going on, and I'll be the asshole to say it. I don't care about golf, so it would have been easier for me. But a lot of people also care about basketball. A lot of people care about a lot of things. So, point being, I just think WrestleMania, it would have been easier if they did it this week, or this last week. But we got it coming up this weekend. But regardless, Tuesday's video should be the return of Shooting the Breeze and talking about the NBA playoffs the start of the NBA playoffs, because each team should have played at least one game in their series at that point. It will not be the most in-depth analysis. I did a great job with that last year, though, in my opinion. And talking about the fallout of WrestleMania, and I'm, again, mainly putting it off to Tuesday because hopefully we get a great night after Mania. Last year's wasn't the most, like, jaw-dropping or shocking things taking place, but it was a very good episode of Raw, so it was a great step above from the previous years. That was a very bad episode, which I will say this, and I think I said it last year. I think the night after WrestleMania Raw in 2023, the night after WrestleMania 39, that was not a bad episode. It was a good episode of Raw. It was just a terrible night after WrestleMania when you're telling us we're going to have surprises and jaw-dropping moments and returns and debuts. And the only return we got was Matt Riddle, who in hindsight was released like later that year, and Brock Lesnar turning on Cody Rhodes, which so many people saw that happening that it didn't even really matter. So I think it was a good episode of Raw. It was just a terrible night after Mania Raw because you didn't have many returns. I spent a lot of time talking about this, but last year's was a great episode of Raw, and it's also hilarious in hindsight that so many of us thought that we'd be getting Cody and Rock this year due to their interaction on that Raw, and that's not the case. At least not yet, at least. So, Wednesday will be a retro review. We're taking the week off this week from the retro review series because of a malfunction, quote-unquote, in our schedule because of Supercard of Honor not taking place till later this month. So, we're going to save the retro. We're not going to do a retro review this week, but we'll return next week. And it also kind of eased the schedule up for me because, like I said, we got a lot of stuff going on this week. So, Thursday, I think will be an off day unless something really dramatic happens, which was you hear me talk about so many things. There's a high chance of that happening. Friday, RH review, as always. And then Saturday, Sunday, doubleheader. Saturday will be part 1 of our season finale in UFC 5. And part 2 will be that Sunday. I don't even know if I've announced all the fights for that yet. I definitely don't think I have. And I will be 102% honest with y'all. I don't have that card made up for y'all how I have traditionally had it. But if you've been listening, you kind of know. So let's see if I can remember this off the top of my head. Flyweight title fight is going to be Brandon Moreno and Demetrius Johnson. Which, shout out to UFC 5. Not really. It is a bit fitting that in this week's, this season's, I guess you could say, shop update for UFC 5 involves 2 of the fighters that will be competing in our finale, because Demetrius Johnson, they finally gave him a new alter ego, and they gave Dan the Beast Severn an alter ego as well. So I feel the need to acquire both, but I'm not guaranteed that's going to happen. But there's a high chance that it does. Flyweight title fight, Brandon Moreno, Demetrius Johnson. Bantamweight title fight, Dominic Cruz, Aljamain Sterling. Featherweight title fight, Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski 3. Congratulations to Volkanovski in real life for becoming the champion again, and he has a chance of doing that in this trilogy bout with himself and Jose Aldo. Lightweight title fight, we have Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway 3, which is, again, another fight that has a chance of happening again in real life and will be our Event 14 matchup. I'm trying to think in advance what the hell I'm making the thumbnail of this. I don't have my notebook in front of me. This is what's making this difficult. All this is from the brain. So we went through lightweight. Welterweight title fight. We have a double title fight, title unification with George St. Pierre versus Nick Diaz. A rematch, a very heated rivalry in UFC history. And it's mainly for George to have the potential of being double champ, but in hindsight, you can really consider Diaz a double champ as well. but that probably is going to be the Event 15 finale just because of the double champ status, but we still have 2 more loaded fights because the heavyweight title fight is Stipe Miocic defending against Dan Severn. The light heavyweight title fight. This is probably the biggest fight to take place out of all these that I've named. But the heavyweight title fight, the light heavyweight title fight, Alex Pereira and John Jones. And y'all can't see me, but I'm giving a little smirk at the camera, but that's going to be a crazy fight. While also having the Mike Tyson punch-out fight, which is going to be Chael Sonnen versus Mike Tyson, and 2 more special bonus fights, dream fights you can even say. Daniel Cormier versus Fedor Emelianenko. I told y'all that Fedor would return, and I'm not lying because he's returning on the last event. And the other fight, Islam Makhachev versus Justin Gaethje, which is a fight that's been talked about happening in real life. So this is our 2-part season finale. So I just gave y'all the card off the top of my head. So I know it's easier for y'all if y'all could visualize it, and that's why I like setting it out, but I also did a good job of remembering all that. And not, again, like I said, I don't even have the notebook in front of me, so. Bisping has been taking a beating this fight. Let's get to talking about the playoffs. The reason, again, I'm not doing a straight-up playoff predictions and preview is because my Grizzlies are involved, and again, like I said, I'm going to be biased. So that's why it's not the best for me to do that. So I can talk about some of the other things, though. Thing one that I will say, I know that the NBA is probably pissed. Oh, my goodness. His arm went gone. His arm's gone. Oh, my goodness. That is a terrifying visualization there. So Robert Whitaker picks up a victory. Shout out to him. Because I know they had the opportunity to have LeBron and Curry in the first round. And that opportunity is now gone. I also, and this is like it would have also been Wolves Nuggets 3, which the past 2 years in the playoffs we've had them, and they're split 1-1. This time around, it's a different team for the Wolves, and you could even say it's a different team for the Nuggets because they have a new head coach, an interim head coach, and Mike Malone's gone. Michael Malone is gone. It is bad because Michael Malone had that moment in the playoffs where Cassie Hubbard, love Cassie Hubbard, shout out Cassie Hubbard, but she called him Mike Malone, and then it's Michael. And ever since then, I'm fairly certain everybody's calling him Mike Malone, which I'm not going to blame her. It's not her fault. It's just the easier thing to say. But I catch myself because I remember that moment specifically. But again, I think they're very pissed because they definitely wanted LeBron and Curry. That would have been the money series. That would have been anything and everything that people were talking about. That would have been, and now that's gone. Now it's Wolves Lakers, which. That's probably the most conflicting series as of right now because the Wolves have been rolling, and they have a lot of bigs on their roster where that is the main flaw for the Lakers right now. But the main flaw of the Wolves last year is they could not stop Luka in that playoff matchup. So that's the most conflicting series as of right now. Speaking of a coin flip, it does not really matter to me who wins these next 2 bouts. So we're going to have 2 coin flip bouts taking place right here. So heads for JDS, tails for over. And let's flip this coin real quick as it is. Tails will be, you know what? We're going to be JDS. I know I'm on to y'all. The next fight is definitely going to be a coin flip fight. Next fight, definitely. I'm trying to think of the other matchups. 3-6. In the Lakers, Wolves. I think I'm just going to go. Like I said, it's a coin flip. That one's the most conflicting to me. Because you can make an argument for either side. But it's just going to be way more difficult to beat the Lakers than the Wolves. Let's put it that way. The Eastern Conference 3-6 is the Pistons and Knicks. And a lot of people are picking the Pistons in this, which I know NBA Twitter is not a real place. It kind of is. But So there's a lot more people picking the Pistons than the Knicks. Now I will give credit and say Cade Cunningham will probably give the Knicks a run for their money. I think the Pistons, there's definitely going to be a quote-unquote altercation every game. The playoffs, the stakes are higher, the animosity is higher, the confrontation level is higher. It's kind of not as easy to get a tech because, the referees aren't as it's going to be a heated-ass series. I will guarantee an altercation every game, and I would not be surprised if we get one fight with, pushing and whatnot. We already saw that happen with the Pistons a handful of times this year. But especially in the Garden in New York, it's going to be crazy. Like I said, the Pistons, Cade Cunningham is going to give the Knicks a run for their money. The Pistons have also been a good team against the Knicks this year, so I kind of just gave everything in the favor of the Pistons, even though I would anticipate the Knicks to win because they're a more complete team. So it's also the Pistons' first time in the playoffs since 2020, and they're looking for their first playoff win since 2008, which is insane. But you could have made that argument for the Knicks, not that even long ago. So we will see what happens there. So the other East matchup that we know of is Pacers-Bucks, which is a rematch from last year with a very similar circumstance to last year because in that matchup we didn't see any of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And there's a high chance that we don't see any Damian Lillard in this. Now, the last that I saw, because I knew I'd have to talk about this at some point, is that Dame is expected to return. They're hoping and expecting him to return at some point in the playoffs, but with that kind of being the case, I don't expect it being anytime soon. And since Dame has been out, Giannis has been on a tear and carrying, which I hope to see that in this matchup. It definitely sucks that it's kind of going to hinder the matchup again compared to last year, and I know that they're very heated and we had altercations in that matchup last year, which I don't know how much of that is going to carry over. I think some of it will, but I also feel that a lot of the animosity and anger and problems that came from that were from Patrick Beverley, who that series ultimately ended his NBA career because, he was trying to fight everybody, which I kind of respect a little. So I just think it's so much to where I'm going to say Giannis is going to give the Pacers a run for their money, but the Pacers are a bit more a completed team that I would expect them to win. So that would mean Pacers versus this is what gets confusing. Is because in hindsight, if all the top seeds win, it makes it easier. But then the lower seeded team wins. That's what makes it difficult. And me remembering who the hell is supposed to face. So if the Pacers win 4-5, they should be facing the winner of 1-8. Because 2-3 should face each other. But then again, to make it more complicated, there's a chance that it ends up being 6 versus 3. Or I don't even know what I'm trying to get at now. Because it's hard to talk about the other matchups. And it's also not... It's insane. Because the definition of insanity is expecting the same thing over and over. Trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And the same teams keep ended up in the Eastern playoffs. Play in. Play in. Because we have the Heat there again. We have the Hawks there again. And we have the Bulls there again. Now, if you want me to be honest, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head who the other East play-in team was last year. Sixers. That was because of the injuries. We got a good Sixers next series out of that as well. So, the Magic are only there because of injuries that they had this year. Even though they were a better team when Paulo and Franz were not playing, and then they came back and it kind of screwed things up a little bit. I also kind of just think that they need to make a bit of a big move in the offseason to take care of this timeline, especially when the money is not as crazy as it could be in the future with star players on your team. So I think they kind of messed up in not doing that last offseason and should try that this offseason. But there's also a chance that they ball this time around. That being said, I much rather would see Magic Celtics and Heat Cavs. Or not Heat Cavs, god damn it. Actually, Heat Cavs. Fuck it. There, I said it. I meant to say Hawks Cavs. But the Hawks and Trae Young are masters in the play-in and have dominated the play-in. That's why I'm just anticipating them to win. It's not guaranteed, but it's happened time and time again. It didn't happen last year, but all the other years it has. So here's a coin flip fight. Like I said, we're flipping the coin. Head for Derek Lewis, tails for Kimbo. I'm all right with being either competitor here, as this time it lands on tails once again. So we will be Kimbo. Heat and Cavs would be a great matchup. This Heat team has been in a rough stretch since the Jimmy Butler trade, but they've had some shining lights, mainly picking up momentum as of late, and Khalil Ware, who is potentially a pigeon. I don't think Kimbo's 4-1. I don't really think Kimbo is 4-1, but I don't know when this attire is based off of. But I also mainly am interested in the Heat Cavs potential series because of the double big man lineup. I'm respecting and liking that the power forward center, aspect is coming back into the NBA, because we have a lot of teams going double big now. Not every team, but we have my Grizzlies with Jaren and Edey. We have the Heat with Bam and Khalil Ware. We have the Cavs, who have been doing it longer than anybody in the league right now, but with Jared Allen and Mobley. Mobley and Jared Allen, to be in order specific. Sengun and Steven Adams have been doing it as of late. It's going to bother me that I know I'm forgetting teams. You can consider Giannis and Brook the predecessor and fitting into that as well. So, I know I said the Cavs kind of originated it or brought it back. I don't want to say originating. Obviously, we've had a lot more. But I feel that it's kind of an underrated thing in basketball that does not get talked about as much. I feel that two of my favorite duos of all time is Tim Duncan and David Robinson, and Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. But if you were to do like a power forward center, like big man duo list, it would take, you'd have to stretch the limitations out a little bit to get into some discussions. Again, it's also going to bother me because I know that there are other teams that have been doing it that I'm forgetting off the rip. But I mentioned at least 5, so I think that's a good start. The Timberwolves did it last year as well. Cat and Gobert. You can't really consider. The last 2 years, you say. Randall and Gobert you consider that a little bit, but not as much as last year. There's some other teams that you could say do that. When we get to a stopping point, I'll look at the list of teams. So I've kind of talked about every aspect of the playoffs and play-ins that don't proclaim to me, obviously. So, I will say I know it's a pussy way to go about things, but it's the easiest way for me to do it and discuss it. And it's also weird, because I was thinking about my content on my channel, because I talk about a lot of things, and I was trying to break down exactly how much I talk about certain things, where obviously the thing I talk about the most is wrestling, because I think that is the thing that I know the most about and is involved in my life every day. Whereas basketball, football, and UFC, wrestling is legitimately on every day. Monday, Raw. Tuesday, NXT. Wednesday, Dynamite. Thursday, Impact/ROH. Friday, SmackDown. Saturday, Collision. Sundays, most of the time, are pay-per-views. Then you got independent promotions, etc. Where UFC, they're on Saturdays. NBA, I know that for the past, since October, it's been almost every day. There's been a couple of days where there haven't been, just like Saturday. But we're about to be in that stretch where there's no basketball. And you got to talk about all-season moves. And then there's definitely that month-and-a-half period where there's legitimately nothing to talk about. NFL, I'm a Packers fan, so I just mainly try to talk about the Packers, but I do give NFL predictions every week during the NFL season. But y'all haven't really heard me talk about the NFL a lot recently because not as much is happening. Granted, it's not the best time to be mentioning this because the draft is next week. The draft actually might be this Thursday. I'm gonna have to freaking look. It's either this Thursday or next Thursday, which I would only give them credit for it being this Thursday because I know there's no playoff or playing games then because the play-in's Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. NFL. I'm just gonna look it up because it's gonna bother me. And I should know because the damn draft's in Green Bay. They've been promoting it a lot. I also don't know what the Packers Instagram is. This also gives me enough time to look at my wall of hats to think of other big men duo. I don't really know if Porzingis and I think Porzingis and Horford play enough for me to qualify them. If you want me to be honest, I gave y'all enough. Oh, I knew there was one I was missing. The Mavericks now. Again, it's not really we haven't really seen a lot of it because of injuries, but AD and what day is the NFL draft?
The 2025 NFL Draft starts at 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 24th and ends
Okay,
Saturday.
so that's next weekend or next week. I think they should have done it this Thursday. Which also, AW Collision is taking place this Thursday. That way, they don't have to worry about dealing with the playoffs, which is a smart thing. And again, like I said, there's no play-in or playoff game Thursday, so I respect it. I respect that Collision's earlier this week. WrestleMania. Watch it every year. And I've not talked entirely about the build to this event because it has been a weird build, needless to say. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about it here. Mainly fantasy booking aspects. That way, when I'm giving my actual predictions for the event, I'm not trying to just fantasy book the whole time. So, this is what I want. This is the main, thing that I want. Thing one, and this is probably not the smartest thing to do. Actually, I'm not even going to say the main thing. You have to check out the many predictions for the main thing I'm going to say. But, my fantasy booking that I want, is we want it off a hook. I'm not that against Braun Breaker losing the IC title. I want Paul Heyman to be done with the Bloodline / Roman Reigns. It gives something different for Roman to do, and it gives something Heyman different to do. Because Heyman, in his career, has not stuck with the same guy over and over again, time and time again. Like, it's his first initial run. He was with Brock for, half a year. He wasn't even with Brock for, a full year. Then he was bouncing around from guys, ended up being SmackDown GM, and just GM at ECW, obviously, down the line. Then he came back with Brock, and was with Brock for, 8 years, let's say, personally. And then he was also at Punk. He had other Paul Heyman guys, but the main one was obviously Brock. Whereas now, the main guy has obviously been Roman. You could include the Usos and the other Bloodline members, but he's dedicated a lot of freaking time to his tribal chief, obviously. I want him to be done with Roman after Mania. I personally am suggesting, this is my fantasy booking, is that Heyman helps Punk win, and he's going to be done with Roman. And they're going to do a segment next week on SmackDown. And Paul has a new Paul Heyman guy, and it's Braun Breaker. And the big storyline is going to be between Braun Breaker and Roman Reigns. Because that is probably at the top of my Roman dream matches, if you just want me to be honest. And I think that would be a massive match to do. And then Paul is aligned with Punk. And my other suggestion is like he has a Paul Heyman guy on each brand. So Punk could be his Paul Heyman guy on. I'm going to do a wild card and say SmackDown because I think I would rather see Punk going after the WWE title over the World title. But either option is fine. But I think it'd fit better if it was over the WWE title. And Braun Breaker goes for the World Championship on Raw. That's just my suggestion of it. So he has a Paul Heyman guy on each brand. So I'm just trying to think of fantasy booking aspects. That being said, a lot of people are trying to fantasy book Dominic Mysterio to win the IC title. I would be very salty with that. That's why, again, I was okay with Braun losing. I'm okay with any person winning, but if you were to ask me out of the 4 guys in the match, I would want Dom to win the least. Let's put it that way. And I personally would rather Penta win because Penta, since being in WWE, has just essentially had banger matches every week, almost every week. And he could do that now with higher stakes because the IC title is involved personally. So I'm trying to think of other things to fantasy book. There's no way in hell this fight goes 5 rounds, by the way, like it did in real life. If it does, I'm sorry, because that would probably be boring to y'all. I will also make note that I've been a bit lazy, and I have not gave any descriptions for these AHS Plays UFC 5 events for a hot minute, but I probably will for this one. That way, it's like a heads up and thumbs up. They're like, oh, I talk about the NBA playoffs in this. I'm trying to think of other. So this bad about. Because I'm not also trying to, like, spoil what my predictions are. Again, when I talked about Roman in that heel turn, it kind of gives you a hindsight idea of who I think should win that matchup. And I'm not going to talk about the other thing because, again, that would have spoiled it. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. It's kind of like real life, but Adesanya's getting more action this time around. What's other matches that are happening to me? Oh, this is the other thing. This one's going to bother the hell out of me. I don't think the Mania card is finalized yet. I've seen a lot of rumors that it is. We're going to need a Motor City Machine Guns match on WrestleMania. I am of the idea that everybody should be involved in the WrestleMania card one way or another. That way they get their WrestleMania, quote-unquote WrestleMania moment. Some will be bigger than others, obviously. That's why I was not opposed to the men's and women's battle royals, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. That way people got their WrestleMania moment and their WrestleMania payday, which to most wrestlers, that's what matters most. But the idea of Motor City signing was like, oh my god, it'd be cool to see them at WrestleMania. So for that to not happen and have to wait a year, I think would suck. And I do think there's a slight possibility that it still could happen. I hope that it happens. That it will be the main thing that I'll say there. Some other things. Fantasy book. This again, fantasy booking wise. Because again, I'm not trying to spoil my Mania predictions. I also think I'm trying to think of who Randy should face because that's a big factor. I also don't think that they gave a mystery vignette this week because if it did, I missed it. And most weeks they've been like posted online, and I don't remember seeing one of those mystery countdown vignettes on SmackDown this week. But whoever the hell that is, you know, that might have potentially worked for this company and the other company, I think would give Randy a good Mania match. Magnus / Nick Aldis. I'm always gonna. It's gonna be difficult to call him Nick Aldis because I've known him as Magnus for a majority of his career. He's probably actually been Nick Aldis longer than he was Magnus at this point, or at least the same amount of time. With the WWE title match, we got the World title match, IC, US. Only one damn tag team as of right now. I will also say women's triple threat. Probably the match of the two shows. The best match of the two shows. They just called somebody Twinkle Toes, one of the cornermen, who that could be referring to either one of us. I think it probably is referring to us. Sean's more defensive this time around. Okay, okay. See how this goes. As we're now getting into a notebook. I've lost my piece of paper with important information. I have no clue where that's at. But like I said, at least I remembered all the fights that are taking place. I don't remember what the thumbnail's supposed to be. Let's put it that way. I also will say that we've done 3 out of 5 fights on this card. Have not progressed once in our levels, which is a bit disappointing for myself. We only progressed like once or twice a video, which again, this is the start of a new season, and this is actually a decent season. Even though I will be the asshole to say that I'm not that damn happy that we got another Rampage Jackson alter ego, especially one that looks so similar to the one that we have now. As much as I love Rampage Jackson, I don't know why they felt the need to do that. That's a crazy knockout there. Israel Adesanya picks up a victory as I found that important piece of paper. As y'all get to watch the highlights over again. I'm excited for the Raw. I know this is going to be terrible. I'm excited for the Raw after WrestleMania because I legitimately have no clue what the hell could happen. If you just want to be completely honest with you, which that's how wrestling should be, unpredictable, and you don't know what the hell is going to happen. Unless you're the person or people inside of the ring, you probably should know because that could be a scary circumstance otherwise. So, is there any of these? Look, throwing 200 strikes in a fight is difficult to do without, just straight up winning. If you just want to be honest, you could just stand in the corner and just spam it, but that's not fun. That's time consuming. So these are not the greatest challenges to do today, but we should be able to get complete this level in this next fight, which is our main event fight, a rematch for the BMF title. I don't really know or think that the BMF title's on the stake here, but if Nate Diaz wins this and wants to call himself BMF champion again, I ain't stopping him. As like I said earlier in the series, Nick Diaz defeated Jorge Masvidal in a fight. Nope, other way around. Nick Diaz defeated Jorge. Yeah, no. I was right. Nick Diaz defeated Jorge Masvidal in a fight, while Dustin Poirier defeated Nate Diaz in a fight that should have happened in real life and didn't. And all 4 men synonymous with the BMF title and its history in regards or whatnot. It's also crazy that I've not seen as many of these entrances or walkouts, because a lot of the fights that I do don't have the walkouts, or I just skip them. So I feel it's a little bit important to do in the finals or the final fight. I've been stumbling over my words a lot this video. I guess I'm sorry. A little sorry. See what's in my notebook. I have my wish list or checklist for the alter egos that I want to buy next. Justin Gaethje is up there at the top because I feel that I use him a lot and it's never in a special attire. Demetrius Johnson because I've complained that they never gave him a special one and then they finally did. Strike Force Nick Diaz is up there. Anthony Pettis WEC. I've always liked Anthony Pettis. I've always respected the WEC. Dan Severn. I feel the need for it. So I don't know how many of these will be acquired. Excuse me. That is crazy. Jorge's got to. So if this Nate Diaz is from 2016, and they fought in. How old is Nate Diaz? Nate Diaz is pretty young. I did not know Jorge was that much older. Is what I was trying to get at. Age doesn't. Y'all not get me on record for saying that. That could have been taken extremely out of context, but I'm talking about it. Bro, 19 and 10. Numbers don't matter there. I kind of said it's a little bit of what I wanted to say. I can't wait to review Supercard of Honor 2022, by the way. I really enjoy. I've watched that show back 2 to 3 times. So this will be my, 4th time watching this show. But there's so much to talk about that event that I'm really looking forward to that. Now, by the way, I did go for the glove touch. I don't know why it doesn't do it for me that often. I think you got to be, kind of far away from them to do it. And I'm always right there trying to do it. So maybe that's why. I see a little bit too many empty seats, by the way, for this freaking main event fight. I thought it was just people standing up, but no, it's just straight up empty seats. Y'all disrespected Nate like that. This actually might be a fight where I could throw 200 strikes, by the way. Let's go for that. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. I just realized the ROH review might be messed up this week because Collision's on the same time that ROH would be. So maybe they will probably do a short because ROH comes on at 6 and AEW comes on at 7. So this week's ROH might be short just in hindsight. So because I was thinking about just watching it early. That way, I can say I upload Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Because Friday is technically a holiday for Good Friday. So I was going to try to not upload on a holiday, but ROH reviews are every... I've definitely uploaded on other holidays. And B, ROH reviews are every Friday. But for the instance, I was going to say I uploaded 3 straight days. But technicality, it doesn't matter. But I also did just come to mind, ROH might be reviewed or this review might be messed up next week. So... very time TBD. But obviously y'all could tell that I want to review ROH, so it's not my fault. I think that's probably going to be the actual route. It's either A, there ain't going to have an episode, which I doubt that happens, or B, it's just an hour-long episode. That way it doesn't conflict with Collision, which, by the way, last week's episode was only 46 minutes. So, and... C, I don't even remember what is taped for this, but there was a announcement made that I will have a rant about because I'm not that damn happy about it. There, I've given y'all a bit of a sneak previews for the major videos for this week. Our week's review should be quick, but I do have a rant to go on about, and I have some fantasy booking ideas for WrestleMania, so checking the boxes all over. And with this series slowly winding down at its season finale, this is kind of overtaken shooting the breeze, because a lot of the things that I would talk about for shooting the breeze, I've just talked about during the duration of this video. It's just more difficult to keep up with what I've said in like lineal context, because in hindsight, it's just mainly supposed to be UFC related, where I've talked about all aspects of everything in this series. So there's that. Where shooting the breeze, it's easier to keep up with it. Here, not as much. But maybe I'll go back one day and update that for library context. Which I will also say that I'm pretty sure the clock just changed, because I felt that I was looking up, or now I have to look down to see the clock. I also did not look at the other challenges for today, which could have helped. Now I'm trying to lock in and concentrate per se. There we go. That could have been bad for us. That could have been bad for us again. Alright. Now I will be a tryhard and look at how many strikes that we've thrown. So we have thrown 57 and 33. I thought it would have been a little bit more, but we did do the takedown. So we're gonna throw 100 freaking more. I gotta throw 110 more, because I just did it on the calculator. I was like, that doesn't seem right. I will admit that I need to use a calculator a lot more than I'd like to. Okay, so we're not going to get to that, but I think that was a good ending. I'll also say, I forgot to say, that this event should have been filmed and taped Saturday, but things came up, so y'all probably not wondering or caring why it's delayed. It kind of fits better that I was able to do it this week. That way I got an extra video for the week, which again, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter. Especially now that I've waited till the end to say this. So let's go to the post-show accolades as we prepare for our season finale in our next one. As we did at least level up once. I'll also say that this is probably going to be my profile pick in background for a minute because this is actually a decent fight card this past weekend, even though I didn't get to catch as much of it as I'd like to have. This is actually pretty decent, but I don't like how much it's sparkling. As you can see, my Strike Force attire at the moment. Very Strike Force heavied. This Fight of the Night, Performance of the Night went to Izzy and Strickland. Don't know about that, but I ain't gonna be complaining about it too much. There's a 50-minute video. Oh, guys, look at her challenges. All right, throw 200 strikes. I will also say that I did the 5 online fights for the Rampage challenge. Which, how many did I... All right, let's go look at this. Thing 1, we're going to also, we're time wasting here, even though we don't have to. We're going to look at the stuff that we don't want to. I went with a decision on almost every one of these fights. I'm glad that not all were. Only got one of these fights wrong, by the way. I feel that... I don't know. I thought Pitbull... I would have preferred Pitbull winning. I'm also intrigued to see if he gets added to this game. So, Fight of the Night. I don't know if this got Fight of the Night or not, but I know that it did go to the decision with Volk winning, so I'm happy with that. Patty winning. I just went with the smart thing. Silva winning. I kind of... This one, you could have coin flip. This one could have really been a coin flip going into it. Dominic Reyes. So, I don't know how many of these... The only one... This did go to decision, but I got the freaking winner wrong, so... I'm alright with that. Where... And y'all could also see that I lost this. So I did these challenges. This freaking online one. Actually, you don't have to do all the challenges for Rampage. You just got to win 10 by TKO and knockout. One of these was for online. I did this because A, I wanted this background, and B, I'm cheap and didn't want to pay and buy the background. And C, I have all the other ones since I've gotten the game. Online modes, I've tried my best to stay away from, and I know that a lot of the aspects for this game is focused on the online. It lagged like a MFer, and y'all just spammed punch it. It was difficult. I went 2 and 3 with 2 of the fights being so laggy that it was terrible. So I'm all right with that. That being said, I hate the online challenges. Let's see what these other ones were. One of these I didn't do, which was this one. Which 3 5-strike combos. Yeah, it's a bit difficult. I don't need these shorts. And again, I complained that we didn't need another Rampage alter ego. And that's probably why they made it the free one. I don't want y'all to see that because I'm not proud of those predictions. Where with these, I'm okay with. So, I went on enough rambling and whatnot about stuff that in grand scheme of things doesn't matter as much. So, I'll see y'all in my WrestleMania predictions video. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Take care, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all, because I'm out for now. Goodbye.